this cat reminds me of every real estate agent that didn't over there just clawing at the glass like it's going to open the door.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of real estate agents are clawing at the door right now, for sure. I know we'll get into that, but welcome everybody, man. Thank you guys jumping into Tuesday with Mr. Albie Stasek and Jay Kinder and myself. We're here for all of your Honey Badger Nation questions, comments, agent attraction, business life, anything you guys have on your mind. Feel free to throw it in the comments. But I want to Al, I want you to kick us off. It's what we were talking about before Cuz jumped in with us. Talking about I love EXP Day, right? And really kind of coming full circle of what you guys are doing today, but it's also to me probably the most fulfilling coming out of Rock and Rescue, being able to have today and what today means and what you guys are able to do. So I would love for you to kind of kick us off and start there while folks are jumping in and joining us in today's conversation.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we had as many of you guys know, a lot of you guys were actually there to join us. We had our seventh annual, I think it was seventh, Rock and Rescue to raise money for the charities that fight the fight against human trafficking. I got Renee Jones's check right here, and today is similar to like a lot of our competitors have like one day during their year where they celebrate giving back, and that's today for us. It's I Heart EXP Day. So we are going to do the one of the three charities that the concert benefits. We're going to deliver that check to Renee Jones Empowerment Center. She is a Cleveland hero here in the local area, and she's a dear friend of mine at this point. She's an absolute, just iconic soldier on the grounds, going into the worst areas and neighborhoods that most of us would never allow our children to travel to. And she's going there every day, helping, giving anything from, feminine products to medical care to just helping these ladies, get it off the streets and into a better situation, a better life. And it's inspiring to see the work she does. When you kind of compare to what we do, we're good at raising money. We can do that part. But they're the real heroes on the ground floor. So yeah, we are celebrating her and all the other heroes by giving that check today at our Icon co-work space. And we're collecting things for these women, such as what I was mentioning, like, some clothes, slippers, hygiene products, like just the stuff that they're not getting when they're out there in bad situations. So clothing, stuff like that. So we're doing a little drive here today locally. And so it's exciting. You come to a point in your career, and I actually put a post up on Facebook about a week or two about, how we kind of come out of the gates. And I remember my first year in real estate, I was working part-time for Chase Manhattan Mortgage, which was a collection wing of Chase that collected on delinquent mobile homes. So my states were Alabama, Louisiana, and, down in the South. And they didn't really care about paying their mobile home mortgage bill, on time. And so I had a job. It paid $19,000 a year. That was my salary, $19,000 per year. And the only way I would make more money, there were no bonuses or anything like that, no commissions. It was just overtime. So my first goal was to make $30,000. That was like my North Star. $30,000. And I think I may have achieved that, the first year. I may have actually even fell a little short. I don't remember. But then, then it was 50, and there was always this number I was chasing, 100,000. Then it was 300, 500, $1 million, so on. And everything changed for me when I met Dennis and Mary Lou Steed. They were the broker owners of my Remax, and their goals were around how much money could we give back to the local charity. Their charity was the local children's hospital. And so their goals were all around that. And it was like every home we sell, we give $25 to the charity. So it became like, driven by the giving back. And since then, you know, my business doubled every year since then. And so just to kind of, you know, little mindset shift from, you know, I know that income isn't extremely, we can't give back unless we can put food on our own table. And obviously that's a priority. But we certainly love giving back and helping our community that's been so good to us. And so, yeah, that's what I Heart EXP Days today.
Love that, man. Thank you for sharing that. And there's a lot of directions we can go in there. And so for you guys tuning in, if you have any questions, comments, please throw it in, and we'll love to dive in and unpack it for you. But it goes to, you know, circling back around to purpose. And I think what we're moving into and what we're going to see, and you guys are talking to more new, you're having more new conversations every day with real estate agents than probably anybody else. And it's, I think there's a lot of people that are lost. And what I think it's a lost sense of purpose. And, you know, to really find that is so key. And it's funny when we get on these journeys for insightfulness or clarity, how our reticular activator fires. And you know, just by chance, I don't always listen to Ed's podcast. Every now and then I'll clip it on. If I see something, I'll dive in. But here recently, he's had a couple things that have really kind of like, okay, I'm tracking with you, Ed. And it's one of the things from his book, but he talks about the you know, the internal thermostat. And he talks about, you know, people regulate because that's what the thermostat is, right? You either exceed, right? And then you're like, you know, I'm doing too well. Let me regulate back down to where I'm supposed to be. Or it's like, fuck, man, I'm on the ground. Let me regulate up where I'm supposed to be. But you stay right there. And, you know, he talks about, you know, to change that thermostat, right? You got to change the setting. And he said, there's only 3 ways. And number 1, it has to be with your faith. And you've got to have faith in what it is that, to me, that's that greater sense of purpose of why you do what you do. And, you know, some of the things that you can't explain, but are there, and the purpose is driven, that you're meant for more. Then he talks about intent, right? You have to be intentional. I really think right now, especially over the next 6 months, hungry ain't going to get you there. I think you got to be starving. Like, you got to be starving for whatever it is you're in pursuit of. And the only way you get there is being intentional. And then the last thing is association. You know, I had Chauncey on Expert Mentors a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, she has a pretty big following, right? She's able to attract at a high level. And I said, Chauncey, give me the one thing that of all of these agents, everybody that you talk to, what are they craving? She goes, community. She goes, they're all craving community, man. And it's all about association. And so I started, you know, listening to Ed, listening to Chauncey, listening to some of Garrett White's stuff, you know, and then we had Rob Dial on the show 2 weeks ago. And, you know, reading my 10 pages a day of Rob's book. He's right here, Level Up. You know, everything that we talked about on the podcast with Rob, you know, the fear, identity, which is what we've been talking about for the last 15 years, the perfect day exercise, because that's identity. It's core identity. But I love what Rob talks about in there is living it, trying it out every day. Right. So think about if you're an agent right now that's starving and you're like, man, I just, you know, if I could be at $500,000 in revenue, right, that would just like, it would cover my budget, my family. I would be set, you know, go deep on the whys. But what he talks about with identity is like, okay, well, how would somebody earning $500,000 in real estate commissions behave right now? How intentional would they be? Who would they be associating with? What are the conversations that they're having? What are they studying? What are they obsessed about? What are they staying up late? What are they getting up early for?
What are they not doing?
Right.
What are they saying no to? What does their calendar look like? Yeah, that's powerful, dude.
It's so good. And then come full circle to what you said about purpose. When we made it the shift, and we got off of the number and we talked about creating the raving fans.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good conversation with James Adams. We all know James, just incredibly driven, right?
Yep.
And he was talking about his vision. And I'm like, but why does that matter? Because it was a number. But why does it matter? And he's like, well, if we can impact this many lives, but why does that matter? But why does that matter? But why does that matter? And it comes down to the real root of it, being able to make those impacts. And I think especially in the real estate space, and come full circle to Al, to what you're saying, is it's about impacting, making a difference in the community. And I think even for us, when we were chasing, X number of raving fans, we knew that it was a percentage of metrics that was going to be referral, repeat, come back to the business that was going to be more attractive than chase. However, it meant that we had a bigger impact in the community. And I think everything it distills down to its impact, right? And I think that's where you were leading to, talking about the stages, right? We get through survival, right? Hey, 19,000, let me get to 30,000, let me get to 50,000, let me get to 60,000. But at the end of the day, you get to a point to where it's all impact. It's like, what is the impact I'm having, right? That's legacy. It's what's the legacy that I'm leaving for my family? What's the legacy I'm leaving for this community and the impact I'm having? And I think there's a lot of people that are lost right now and that are looking for that. And, one of Ed's conversations that hit me hard, and it's the one thing that we've said for the last 15 years, all three of us, the biggest constraint that we all have is the constraint in our thinking, and we ain't thinking big enough. And what Ed was saying is that for us as leaders, our vision has to be so big that people believe that they can achieve their dreams by being a part of it.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, I love the analogy that he uses in the book. What is it? The be the one. What's this book? Darn it. I have it. I read it.
Yeah. The power
of one more, where he talks about that thermostat. And it's a great analogy because everybody can relate to it. Like if you keep it at 70 and 70 degrees is your, let's just call it your median, where if it gets hotter than that, your AC's kicking on. If it gets colder than that, your heat's kicking on, and you're regulating it there. And this isn't bringing you the level of, impact, the feeling of happiness and fulfillment. Then you need to move that 70 degrees, kick it up to 80, and now you have a whole new range that becomes your unacceptable, or wow, I'm nailing it, but you moved that up. And I mean, I always use 2010 Exponential Growth Summit. That's where my thermostat got raised up when I saw Curtis Johnson, when I saw Blake up on stage talking about selling 300-400 homes a year. I was at the time selling 40, and I'm like, holy crap, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It was a moment of belief that all of a sudden got injected into me because I just wasn't. It was my mind. It was the only thing in my that was in my way was my own thinking. But I had to get into the right room. I had to get into the right environment with the right people around, and that is the choice.
Association.
What you said. What are the people that are making $500,000 a year who aren't sweating paying their mortgage payment, who aren't sweating, any of those expenses? What does their calendar look like? What are they not doing? What are they saying yes to? and what are they focused on? We talked about it yesterday in our leaders call about focusing on the lead measures and getting away from it. I had a call today just before this call with one of our icon agents, and she's struggling because I don't know if you guys, kind of been listening to some of the agents. There's a lot of cancellations going on right now. Buyers are walking from their deals and sometimes giving up their earnest money. And, it's challenging right now, but this is where the difference between an AFA, an average frustrated agent who's just going to, basically take it on the chin, what the market's or, what it's offering, and then deal with those results, and a honey badger who's not going to, the status quo is not acceptable to them. The honey badger is going to keep coming. They're relentless. They're the top 1% of performers, and they just behave differently. Their calendar looks differently than this person over here, the AFA. Don't be an AFA.
No, you're so spot on. And I think it's the imitate before you innovate. And, we've talked about this before, right? I mean, we can give it whatever context and naming conventions you want, copycat 1 to copycat 2, but it's imitating. And it's imitating success. But that goes back to identity, is who do I have to be? And if I see, you guys over here earning, multiple millions, a year in agent attraction, why in the fuck am I going to go try to reinvent the wheel? I better be imitating until I'm earning multiple millions a year, doing what they're doing. That's the identity part of modeling success, modeling behavior. But I love what you said, Al, right? Like you've got to walk into the room. You've got to be aware that it's even possible, right? That's the whole belief. And James posted here, what are we focused on? I think it's where you give that attention, but I think it comes back down to really clearing on what you want and knowing why you want it. That's why I'm always against people, trying to, I'm going to run a marathon because you're running a marathon. You better check yourself why you want to run a marathon, right? like let's get real clear on what it is that you're trying to do and make sure it aligns. And it goes back to the whole thing. And this is why I think the perfect day exercise is everything. Because we've said this over and over. And I remember because I was sitting there and I was showing you my presentation for Go's very first build. And I was walking you through, the key pillars of kind of right things, right order to think through things. And you're like, oh, it's just decision filters. I'm like, yep. But the biggest decision filter that I think a lot of people are out there, and this is, they don't know, is like, is it moving me closer to where my ultimate freedom, or is it moving me further away? Is me aligning and being a honey badger and being a part of this platform and this movement and this community and this association, is it moving me closer to my destination and my freedom, or is it moving me further away? But I bet if we were to ask those agents that question, I bet 9 of them couldn't tell you what the destination is.
Yeah. Yep.
They couldn't, because, and I think right now with agents, they can only see what's in front of them. And I think a lot of agents right now are so, I think a lot of them are even concerned of how they're going to get through the holidays.
Yeah. By the way, I just posted the YouTube link in the comments to Frank Kern's Perfect Day.
Yeah.
You may need, I haven't done it in a while, and I need to do it again. I think you should do it every year. I like New Year's Day.
Yeah.
I've had my best on New Year's Day, but this is almost 2 hours long. And I think there's a shorter version, but I don't want to sit here and be looking for a shorter version. You can find it within that long version. I think you can probably fast forward to where he's getting to the meat and potatoes, but go through the whole exercise for sure.
It's core identity. And then I would tell you guys, if you guys don't have a copy of Rob Dial's Level Up book, he has a whole chapter talks about identity. So he condenses the perfect day down. But what I love, what Rob talks about is he's like, go try it on.
Yeah.
Go try it on. Like, and it goes back to what he talked about, right? Jim Carrey, right? Like who's Jim Carrey? And he's like, you can be whoever you want to be tomorrow. Like, you don't like who you are, then go be somebody different the next day. And that's what he's talking about. And you get down to that core identity into the perfect day exercise. And who do how do you behave? What time does somebody that earns $1 million selling real estate or attracting agents, what time do they wake up? What are they thinking about? What's their morning? When do they exercise? How are they exercising? What are they reading? What are they eating? But Rob breaks it all down in there, but that's the perfect day exercise. But what I love, Rob is like, but go try it on. We talk about it.
Can you find Rob's on YouTube as well?
No, it came out it's in the book. If the Audible version's available, I would say get the Audible. I love that he told us that he did the narration, so he read it, which I love. So, yeah, it'll be good. The book's great. I'm just into, he goes through the fear, identity, purpose, visualization, then, it's going to keep rolling.
Awesome. Yeah. I never had heard of him before you brought him on. It was a nice conversation.
It was what was crazy is that, Mike Tuttle was the one that introduced me to him. And apparently if you go looking at Rob's podcast, he's had them all on his podcast.
Oh yeah.
He's had Tony Robbins. He's had, billionaires. He's had just UFC Hall of Famers. Like, he's had them all on there.
Love it. Well, hey, put your questions in the comments, everybody. We're here for you. And I got a hard stop here in a few minutes. I got to take off. You guys can take her home. But yeah, where are you stuck with agent attraction? I put the link to Honey Badger Nation again.com. I will share something. Again, just the Global Alliance group. We got a lot of great groups that have, sort of been birthed out of Honey Badger Nation, and we love them all. But I had an opportunity to spend time with the leaders of the Global Alliance. They came up to our suite, gathered about, I'd say 50 to 60 of their leaders, and gave them some lunch and really kind of cast the vision for 2024. And it was inspiring. You talked earlier, John, you mentioned community. They're starving for community. Nobody has nailed it better than the Global Alliance, period. I mean, the passion and stickiness, you got Gil up there firing this group up like he was Tony Robbins talking to 6,000 people. Veronica, Carlos, the list just goes on. And I know I'm leaving my man, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Shoot. Anyways, but they all came up and just spoke about, where people need to stay focused on. And the biggest thing was stay focused on your community, because that community is going to pull you up. Whoever you're surrounding yourself with, there's going to be one of three things that community is going to be, doing for you and you for it. They're either going to be doing nothing and you're not going to experience any growth or any pain, or they're going to be pulling you down, or they're going to be pulling you up. And we hope and pray that we're bringing you guys the value that's going to be pulling you guys up. That's why we do this every single week. That's why we have literally 5 coaching calls, 1 a day, every single week, Monday through Friday, is because we're here to pull you up to that next level, wherever that is for you. And it's different for us. It's different for everybody on here, but get around it, get plugged in, go all in. 2024 is not going to be for the meek. 2024 is not going to be for the agent who sticks their toe in the water. It's going to be made for the honey badgers, the ones who are going all in, resilient. You're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to get knocked down. The question is, how many times are you going to get back up and you're going to keep fighting? We all remember, at least the 3 gents on this panel here, 2008, 2009, and how brutal that was. I lost all of my money. I lost more than all of my money. I lost all my money, and then I lost some credit card companies' money as well. And
but Al,
it was
what was that? That was probably the best lesson.
Yeah.
I know. I hate saying that because it was, but I don't wish it upon anybody that I love to go through it.
But it created opportunity, and it created a resilience. It created a belief and a mindset that carries you into anything is possible.
Yeah.
And
it forced our minds. We didn't have we didn't have a choice. When you're backed into a corner, you don't have a choice. You're going to either fight or just keep taking the lickings. And here's my message to everybody. Don't wait till you're backed into the corner. Don't wait till you're knocked out bloody and you're the ref standing over you counting. Don't wait for that. Pretend that that's where you're at right now and start fighting like you're this is the last round. You got a minute and a half left to get your ass up off that canvas and fight. And that's, don't wait till you're broke like I did.
Yeah.
Where I'm staring down $50,000 in credit card bills because I was paying my mortgage with it. That's 2009 for real. Losing a rental property to foreclosure. It's just, don't let it get to that. Fight now. And we're here to help you fight that fight. And the only way you can do it is just by plugging in. So,
I love what you're saying, Al. And Rogan, I don't know if you caught it. He had Bernard Hopkins on, and you talk about the dude is an alien, like legit an alien. I mean, he's 4 pounds over his fighting weight, and he's 58 years old. And he goes, "You got to give me 2 for water weight, so I'm 2 pounds over from my fighting weight." Yeah, he is an alien. But what Joe it was hard kind of pulling some stuff out of him, but Joe got some stuff out of him. But it makes me think too, it's not just fight and get hit in the head, right? It's like, how do you keep your wits about you and thinking about, beyond fighting? And it's just a great defense. And what he talked about, what Bernard shared early on, is that he makes all of the fighters, because I think he's partners with De La Hoya at for their promotion and stuff, and he makes them all go watch old fights, go study history, study what happened. And so, you got these young bucks probably listening to this conversation, like look at these guys, 07, 08, whatever. But it's like, no, you need to pay attention and study what happened through there. What did we learn through there? So it's because it's going to make you a better fighter, because now you're going to be able to have defense, because that's what Bernard kept saying. He goes, "Man, my defense was my best offense."
Watch out. Yeah. You don't want to get hit by that 2x4. You don't see it.
No, sir.
I got to take off, boys. You guys can take it home, but I'll leave you this. What's more painful? That 9-to-5 job that you couldn't stand getting up for, fighting traffic, going in, working for the man, working for some middle manager who's trying to tell you how to do the job better than you already know how to do it better than them. But, they're getting off on their, who wants that? We didn't join and get our real estate license and join Honey Badger Nation. We didn't do that, to only go back to that. In my eyes, there's way more pain than that. I'd rather go broke and fight my way back up again than have to do that.
Yeah.
That's just me. So I'm going to sign out on that. I am not leaving here to go get a job. I'm going to get my hair cut.
All right, brother. We'll take it home.
All right, guys. You have a good one.
We haven't even got into, last week and gotten into, what I love to kind of pull out of you, because you study truth. And I think that's kind of who we are. I think it's kind of a not even spoken Honey Badger creed, right? Like, we don't play this or that. We get to the truth. What is really happening? What is truth? And so I know you study where the sources are, like coming out of EXP with conversations that I know you're privy to that most are not, just kind of the direction where the state of the industry is, where the state of EXP's at, kind of foreseeing. I really think the next 6 months is probably one of the greatest opportunities in real estate that we have. And I liken it back to 07, 08, 09.
Yep.
Just like what Al was saying, but you know us, man, like I look for the lesson in all of that. And so for you, you know, what you're experiencing, seeing, studying, like where are what are the next 6 months really kind of are going to unfold?
Well, it's like, history never repeats itself, but it always rhymes, right? So it isn't, we've been saying this for a long time. It's not 07, 08, but there are similarities in things that we're seeing. And so, I think that's the one thing that we know for sure is we don't know for sure what the next 6 months are going to look like. And so, this whole conversation, man, I've just been loving it because it is time for you to come out swinging. And you don't want to wait until you're backed into a corner. You gotta live that every day. It's productive paranoia. You gotta wake up every day thinking somebody's coming to take it all from you. And it's easy to coast. It's easier, it's easy to coast, but it ain't easy to coast through a storm. You better be ready to come after it every day. Obviously there's seasonality. That is to be expected. It's a little bit more seasonal, it seems like already than what a lot of folks have been anticipating and whatnot. I can't say that I know what's going to happen. I think that there's certainly inventory challenges. We've got regulatory challenges that are they're still very real. Yeah. But the opportunity is as big as it's ever been, not just on your production side of things, but certainly on the agent attraction side of things. The conversations and the people that are the wagons that are circling. That's what I love about going to EXPCon. I mean, my gosh, the number of great people that just keep joining this company is it's unreal. I mean, it's really fascinating. It just reminds me of that. We were talking about identity and belief, and for me, it happened at a Craig Proctor conference when I'm sitting next to a guy that was selling 400 homes a year, and I never heard such a thing. And once the heck he's selling how many homes a year? And it's like you realize, man, it is if he can do it, I could probably do it too. Like why would I not at least try? Now that I've seen what it looks like, I can learn and I can go do it. And so but you got to wake up with that passion every day. You got to try it on, and maybe it's not for you, but you at least got to get up and try it on. Try to live, the day that, what you see the most successful people doing, try that on. It might fit you better than you think. But I love the idea, like you said a minute ago, that, maybe it's not. If it's not, you can try to, go back to being your who you were before, or you can go be someone else, whoever you want to be.
Whoever you want to be.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's good, man. It's just the unknown, right? Growth happens in uncertainty. And so I think this is more exciting than the last 2-3 years have been, because I feel those that know how to think more accurately, this is with the separation time. And, it's just why, and maybe too, I think I told you, revisit it, Outwitting the Devil and really just back to Napoleon Hill's emphasis on accurate thought. Right. So literally he could have wrote the book just to make his point that accurate thought was why it's the most, important, law of success. So now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, did he write that book just because he said in Laws of Success, the most important law of success is accurate thought? And then he writes a whole book about outwitting the devil because it is around accurate thought. Pretty brilliant from a marketing perspective, but I think so. I think it's the accurate thought, knowing how to ask better questions, knowing how to navigate, seek, right? That's what we go through change. We talk about, once it's awareness, once you have the awareness, then you have to follow the process, but it also comes down to seeking. And I think that's why, like you said, man, you're starting to have a lot more conversations because there are a lot of people out there seeking a better alternative to their current situation.
Yep.
It's really good.
Yes, it is.
I do want to, obviously we'll give an opportunity for anybody listening in that wants to throw some questions our way. But if not, I want you to kind of, because I know you and I share the same belief on this, but coming down to, the whole, sellers pay sellers commissions, buyers pay the buyer agent commissions, no co-broke fees, just kind of wherever that is going to land with all of the stuff that's happening right now in the industry. Give me kind of give everybody listening in kind of your thoughts on that, but then also how you can be proactive and play offense and not be reactive to whatever decisions that are made in the future.
Yeah, I mean, well, it comes down to really truly being an expert. Like, they had me on a panel at EXPCon on personal brand, and it made me kind of reflect on what was it that we did to build that brand. And it started, as you recall, John, before you came aboard, we had done a market study, right? And we really studied the market, and I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I was doing a market study didn't have a sphere of influence, so I mailed it to the Chamber of Commerce, right? And then, of course, the next year I didn't do it again. I started getting phone calls. Everybody's like, "Hey, are you going to do that market study again? You do that market study again?"
Yeah.
And I started just becoming known as, the guy who knew what the hell was going on. And so I'd go to the bank, and David Madigan would ask me about the market, and I'd tell him there's 1,074 homes on the market. Last year it was 1,029, this time last year. It was just, becoming an expert and becoming the most knowledgeable about the marketplace and what's going on around you. And I think that was my brand. It was that. And then, you moved to doing it weekly. And as the story we've told 100 times, we found out that the banks in town were using our market study to drive banking decisions at the board of directors level. That was kind of my personal brand. So I think you want to start with being an expert at whether you're working the buy side, the sell side, know the marketplace, become the expert. That's something that never ends, right? You're always working on your skills. You're always working on your market knowledge. And so, from that point moving forward, what are you going to do, with that expertise? Are you gonna go out and start creating more content and educating your audience of people with what's going on in the marketplace, and when people are looking to find out what's going on in real estate, they're looking for your content because you're always giving them the truth of what's going on in the marketplace, not trying to be the sky is falling or try to be creative just to come up with a headline just to scare people into watching your content, but to actually be that person that's giving the most value to the marketplace at all given times. I think that's where it all starts. If you're not that person, that's who you want to be looked at as, for me.
Yeah, I think so. And I think too, cause that leads into, you positioned as that expert, as that authority, and one having that, but then, it goes back to like even vision, right? Or it goes back to value. You can have value, you can have a vision, but you got to be able to articulate it. Mm-hmm. And I think, all agents from all different sizes watching, that are watching this or that will watch this. And there was a point where it got to my time became more valuable to me than to just go out and show a house to some. I remember showing up at a house, and I probably judged the guy that was getting out of his car at the time, where I probably shouldn't have judged him, but it turned out to be true. They couldn't afford that damn house. And it was like, man, I was in the middle of doing something. I jumped out and went out and showed this damn house and wasted my time. And, until I valued my time differently, I wasn't willing to have the conversation of how I'm going to represent somebody, what that means to them, what that value actually is, and how I'm compensated. And then from that point moving forward,
that was the only way we operated. And really it doesn't make sense not to do it that way. And, as we brought new agents into the business and we would teach them the process and they'd be like, you mean people actually do this without having a buyer brokerage agreement? Yeah, you mean they just get in the car and just start showing houses? And I'm like, yeah, that's basically the whole industry. And so, I think that, if you want to protect yourself from any change that might be coming, you want to not only just be the expert, but you want to have a value proposition where you can articulate how you serve a client and then how you're compensated and then what happens if, right? So, and even in today's market, without change that may be happening regulatory wise, first of all, legally, you have to articulate and show them how you're representing them. So you might as well do it before. If they were going to say no to having you represent them, wouldn't you rather know now instead of showing them, houses for months? So like that was a part of it. But then, you go show property that's a code 1.5. We used to have an agent, his son Stanfield, listed house and put it in the damn MLS code 1.5. Always pissed me off. Lazy ass agent. But I don't want to determine what I'm going to be paid based upon what some other agents' shitty negotiating skills are.
That's right.
So, I think that was a mindset, getting robbed of many evenings and weekends and kids' birthdays and sporting events and things like that led me to become where I had a belief that my time was valuable. And I think that's the way we all should be operating. If you're truly a professional in this business, I think that's how you should operate. We've always believed that. So I think that's part of it. And then, articulating, what happens if, right? So if an agent, if there was this change to happen, you can always ask the seller to compensate, to pay the difference. And I think that's going to always be the norm. I don't think we're going to end up in a place where that buyer's agent's actually going to have to compensate the agent. I think they're always going to ask the seller to pay for it. And if they make that change, and there's going to be more agents that put nothing in the MLS or put less in the MLS, and then the agents that are going to take a bath and get paid less are going to be the ones that did not negotiate their fee up front for the job that they do in representing a buyer. And so, that's, fortunately, guys, you're in the right place because that's what the certified home buying advisor designation and presentation is all about.
1,000%.
Yeah. So,
1,000%.
We've been doing this for a long time, guys, since 2011, 2012, teaching that process of how to articulate your value. And so the agent that's, at risk of becoming irrelevant is the agent that, that chooses not to have a value proposition and being positioned as differently than the rest of the herd. That's always going to be the threat, right? So, I highly recommend you go through the course. You guys all have access to it. If you haven't done it in a while, maybe you should take a refresher. But again, I think it comes down to that identity. Going back to how we started this whole conversation, John, which I love today, is what is your belief about your value and your time and how important it is that you're viewed as the expert, that you are the expert when it comes to advising people on the largest investment they're making in their lifetime, especially now with all the, the craziness in the marketplace, and real estate prices are gone up and interest rates have gone up with it. And, how are you providing so much value that people become a raving fan at the end of the process and, would move mountains to get other people to come do business with you, would run red lights to do business with you. That's what the goal should be, in my opinion. Long-winded answer as usual, but that's my view on it.
And 1,000%, I agree wholeheartedly. I want to tie it full circle for folks listening in that how they stack this with their agent attraction efforts. You don't have to create all of the value. You can borrow and package the offer around you into your offer when you're talking to other agents. And so just know right now, there's agents out there that are kind of concerned about this being an issue, that primarily because most agents work and they build their business with buyers. And they don't have a proven system or process. They don't have leadership, mentorship, guiding, training like this. A lot of the training out there is, what do you say to convert somebody to do business with you? But then you don't have a process of real value that you can deliver, real value, articulate it to them that handles all of their objections and all of their concerns and explains to them how this whole process works, which is CHBA. There's nothing else out there like it. I don't care what anybody says. There is nothing else out there like it. There is nothing out there like CHSA. And so if you're in the agent attraction side of things, if you don't realize the value, the gold that you have, because think about this. Let's go back to the offer equation. Value is a desire that somebody has, like an agent has a desire. And do you have a path for them to achieve it, which is greater than the time for them to learn it or the effort and sacrifice for it to come true? That's how you're more valuable. If you guys aren't packaging CHSA, CHBA, if you're not packaging Wally's training, Braden's training, everything that the Honey Badger Nation has to offer, then you're selling your value proposition short.
Amen. I want to answer James's question here, but I got to find the name of this. They sent me a text message. These guys that I met here in Frisco. Oh man, I don't think I have the name of it in here. So Chris Widener has started a very similar. You want to know what I would do, and so Al has seen this. I would be. This is 100% what I would do right now if I was back in the business and I had to build it from scratch. This is where I would start. And I'll think of the name here in a minute, and we'll look it up. It's Chris Stege, Stege, and Chris Widener. They were doing an event with Don Hobbs, and they asked me to come speak at it because it was just right up the road here. And it was kind of like BNI. And so like I got pretty involved in a lot of the community stuff. We were involved at the chamber. John, you were involved in the chamber. Other people in our office were on other committees at the chamber. And that was the question that James asked. Would you still be a part of the chamber? Even if I wasn't in production? Absolutely. Largely because of the relationship value of the caliber of people that come in and help, want to help build and grow a community.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that, we did for a period of time was BNI, and it was good. It was interesting, but there wasn't enough leverage in it. So we kind of did our own thing where we brought in all of our vendors and we would teach them things like J. Abraham, and we would do these events for all of our vendors and really try to add value to get some, obviously to add value back to our network of vendors, providers that were related to real estate, because every time we do a real estate transaction, how many people all get paid, right?
Yeah.
And so this particular, it's ROI something. And if somebody knows it, post it in here.
Big Nick does it.
Exactly. He does. And they nailed this. They absolutely nailed it. And there's some real leverage in this. And that's why I really like it. Number one, you get to go pick, all the different vendors. I don't know. There's over 80 of them. I think maybe not that many. Somewhere it was a large number of people that are, whenever we do a real estate transaction, we refer people all the time, and we usually know the best people to use and the people not to use in our communities. And we always have those vendors, kind of pay to be a part of our network, essentially.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they do with this particular program is you as the agent are the one that's running it. It doesn't really cost you anything. I think a couple $100 to get it set up. And then the other vendors all pay $50. Well, go find the best vendors that have the most clients in your marketplace and want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And everybody in the room, when they have their meetings, there's a form that they fill out. If you're an electrician and you're providing a service, or your HVAC company and you just provided a service, how many of these other lists, put a check in a box of any of these services you think you're going to need in the next 12 months or the next 6 months. I can't remember what the script was, but essentially you come back to that meeting with all these other real estate trades people and everybody's getting referrals. This was very similar to BNI, but it wasn't connected, and it wasn't always beneficial. For some it would be, and for others it wouldn't. And so I knew Nick had done it. I'd heard that. I didn't even know these guys were speaking. Widener was speaking, and the other guy that started the company, Chris. And I was like, man, it made me want to get back into production, because when you can create that little network of people, again, going back to association, people that are successful in other businesses that are related to what we do every day in real estate. the amount of referrals, because you know, you would want to implement that form because there's 40 other people that are going to do it too, right? They're going to be giving you referrals every week. And like the amount of money they've been tracking it, how much referrals, I think Nick said he did something like 15 closed listings from this one idea, right? And I was like, this is a no-brainer. I mean, an absolute no-brainer.
So it took what we did to another level.
Yeah, it did.
I told Ian this the other day, I miss the connections.
Yeah.
Like when we were in, we knew the best of everybody. We knew the best attorney. We knew the best banker. We knew the best electrician. We knew the best.
Yep.
Yeah, I miss that.
Man, me too. Me too. Knowing that you've got the guy that is going to do the best job, the best price in every area
on speed dial.
Yeah, man. It's like you know how many people, how much money gets spent. I can't remember what the number is. Like after somebody buys a home, how much money gets spent. I know it's a whole lot because I just bought a house. A whole lot of money that gets spent, and they don't have to go through the challenge of hiring the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? Like how many times have we all done that before? You're that connector. So you create that, create that community of tradespeople within the real estate market that you're in. And that's a powerful network that's gonna do a lot of business together. And it's not hard to set up. You just, it's just like anything else. You have to, you have to go build those relationships and, get people bought in on the vision, right? Like the vision is, man, hey, we're all changing our process. We're all going to ask who needs these services. We're committed to this and each other and making sure everyone in this group is successful. That's what it has to be about. You want to have the most referrals in that group that you could possibly get. So everybody's bringing them. That's the leverage of, hey, nobody's going to do that for you just because you're a great agent. They're not going to go change their, intake form on their, on their new customer survey to include, hey, are you thinking about buying or selling a house in the next 6 months? They're not going to do that for you, but they'll do that for 25 people that are doing that for them. And that's the leverage in this process. So anyways, I thought it was really good. I thought it was really, really good. And so that hopefully James helped answer the question. It's super inexpensive to do. You're in control of it. And they've done a really good job with it. It's one of the very first things I would do.
Yeah, me too. 100%. And I know we're going to wrap. We're at the top of the hour being sensitive to everybody's time. But James, I would reach out to Nick DeVito. He's the first one that I heard about it from Big Nick in Cleveland, put it together. And he's the one that I would connect with. And then obviously, Jay, you've got some connections there in Dallas that could be also good connections for James as well. But
yeah,
man, I'm telling you, man, in what I love about it is your program. You get to pick who's in there. You get to pick the guidelines. You get to pick the parameters. I would be all about experience. I would all be about net promoter score. I'd be all about, reviews. I'd be all about testimonials, what encompasses to make that raving fan. And I would want that whole ethos over the entire organization. So everybody's breathing, thinking the same thing, because everything has to be about the experience that people have with you. And you want consistency in whoever they deal with. And that's how we win. And that's how you change and, the impact in your community.
That's it, man. So good.
Brother, great conversation as always. Appreciate you guys. If you have any comments, questions, feel free to hit us up. You can DM us. But just as always, you guys know, honeybadgernation.com is your go-to resource for everything. And we'll catch you guys again next week. See you.
See you, man.
Later.